So I grew up in Delhi. I'm from Delhi.
Okay.
So I'm not from Bombay. I didn't grow up in this whole environment that I think most people assume that I grew up in.
I'll add a bit of context. Your grandfather is Amitabh
Yeah.
Bachchan, grandmother is MP.
Yes.
The other side grandmother is someone who has a Guinness Book of World Record for selling 17,000 insurance policies in a day.
Yes, she worked in
Wow.
insurance. Yeah.
Wow. What, in a day?
In a day.
What?
And her father runs a really large listed company called Escorts.
Kubota now.
Escorts Kubota, which does, should I say, agri-machinery?
Yeah,
largely?
agri-machinery, tractors, construction equipment.
And you spend time on that too, right?
Yeah.
Most of your time?
Around 60% of my time.
Because when I meet Navya, we generally, the questions I ask her is, how is manufacturing? What's happening with tractor business?
Interesting.
It's slightly different.
Yeah. So yeah, I think a lot of people assume I grew up in Bombay. That's not true. I grew up in Delhi. I studied there till I was 12. I went to boarding school at 12 in the UK. I studied there for 5 years. Then I went to college in the US for 5 years. And I graduated. I came back during the lockdown. I finished my senior year online. So good call not doing that. It was not fun. I graduated during COVID 2020, May 2020. I actually started, I run a non-profit. So I started my non-profit in May 2020 as well. So during COVID. And we started, so some context, my non-profit works mainly in areas of education, healthcare, legal awareness and entrepreneurship for women.
Project Naveli.
Yeah, Project Naveli. And we started with healthcare actually. And it started during lockdown where we actually were running sanitary pad drives for women who didn't have access to menstrual hygiene products during lockdown because they were not able to leave their homes. This was more in, Chawls in Mumbai. From there, we went into entrepreneurship, legal awareness, and education. So we have our entrepreneurship community is about 25,000 women. So these are very small scale entrepreneurs, mostly housewives, mothers who decided to start like different services during lockdown.
And I have to say this about Navya. She's very low-key. Like when she comes to Bangalore, she doesn't pretend to be, or she doesn't behave like that person. And there's no starry behavior.
Because I feel like I'm not the one who's the star. Like I haven't done that work. I haven't gained that respect. I have no right projecting that just because I come from somewhere. And I think that like every time people ask me that, oh, you run a non-profit and most privileged people or people from privilege run a non-profit, I'm like, if you exclude whether I'm privileged or not and focus on what I do, then that's a completely different conversation altogether.
What is the trigger? Why non-profit?
The first answer to that is that whether I come from the family I come from or not, whether I came from privilege or not, I think I'd still be doing what I'm doing. So for me, if I had to define myself, I would not say I'm a philanthropist. I'd say I'm a social entrepreneur because I'm essentially building businesses, but I'm not chasing profit. I'm chasing purpose. So I'm kind of like the middleman between being completely purpose-centric and profit-centric. I'm kind of in the middle.
Are you capitalistic or socialist at heart?
I'm kind of in the middle somewhere. Because, see, essentially what I do on a day-to-day basis and everything I run, these are businesses, but we're not making profits, right? Yeah. So it's somewhere in the middle, and I mean, that's a conversation
Only
for
Nikhil
later.
makes profit. Nobody else. Yeah. So everybody else is trying their best.
But somewhere I feel that's kind of...
Can I tell you something?
Yeah.
You guys are 20 years old. Yeah. I've been doing the same job I do today. I'm 36 as a trader for 19 years. I was just thinking about it when you were introducing yourself. I've had the same job for how old you guys are. So it's okay if I make a little bit of money.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
I mean, everyone has to make money. That's the basics of it. So yeah, that's what my non-profit does. So I was saying we have an entrepreneurship pillar where we have 25,000 women as of last month. And essentially what we do there is encourage entrepreneurship amongst women. So for me, I also fundamentally believe to encourage people to start businesses, it's more than just capital, it's more than just investment and finance. It has to be creating an ecosystem. So that's what we do. So the community is more about resources and how, so we partner with like ad agencies, legal firms, to give them access to resources that every founder, as you guys know, would probably need, which is a very difficult thing for small scale entrepreneurs to find access to those things.
What happens next? Where is Navya 5 years from now?
Well, I don't know. I don't think she knows either. But I think for me, we keep hearing about non-profits and organizations in the US and internationally. We don't really have one in India that's kind of used as, at least at an international level, as a definition of what social entrepreneurship is. And I think that that's something I'm trying to create, is that I think India is a great place for that. We have a lot of people who believe in profit. We have a lot of people who believe in purpose. How can we bring them together and take that to the world and be an example of that? So I think for me, that's what I'm trying to build with Project Naveli. I don't know, 5 years is a little short span of time, but eventually the goal is to kind of get there.
And personally?
That's a whole other podcast, Nikhil. I don't know if we want to get into that.
That's what he wants to get into.
Yeah, that's what he's here for. Personally, I would want to kind of build something of my own. I think I've always wanted to do that.
For profit, not for profit?
No, just I think as my own identity in terms of, I come from a lot and I'm very proud of that. And I also take part in that. I work with my father, like you said. But at the same time, I think for me, it's always been important to have something that belongs to me. So whether that's the respect that comes from that, whether that's profit, whether that's purpose, whatever that is, I would want that to be something I built by myself. So that's important for me personally.
If one were to think all success is relative, starting on step 10 makes it significantly harder?
I mean, I don't think I could say that I've had a hard time. I think that for me to wake up at like 21 when I graduated and say that I want to do this and be able to do that is not a reality for a lot of young girls in India. So I think that I definitely had a big advantage. I think I had it very, very easy comparatively. So I don't know if I'd say it was harder. I'd say that there are other pressures that come with it, but I don't think I'm in a position to complain at all about any of that.
Yeah.
As a bystander, if you had to describe yourself in one line, personality-wise, not like, we don't care.
Personality-wise?
Yeah. Who is Navya?
I'm quite an awkward person.
You're not.
I am. I do a good job of covering it up, but I'm quite an awkward person. I think it takes me time to get comfortable around people.
Right.
And I think that comes from a lot of, because I almost have this I know what people think when I walk into a room, or I know what they expect me to be like, and I know what kind of perception they would have of me. So immediately there's
pressure.
Yeah, so I think for me, it takes time to kind of get there. And I think even for people that I've become friends with or work with, it's taken them a while to kind of really get to know who I am, because I think there are a lot of preconceived notions, right? And I don't blame people for having those. I would have them if I met, somebody else. And, before meeting these guys, I thought they were fast and on time, but, you do have a lot
How did we segue into that? Wow. We were so
I
deep
said
into
the two
something
things
else.
that you need to sell, which is fast and on time. So I should get a coupon.
Yeah.
Where are we getting a coupon?
You
Do a
can't
billboard
blame
with that.
people for having, preconceptions about you. So I think for me, that's always, I think, what creates the awkwardness, is that I walk into a room knowing what people are thinking already. And that's a very daunting feeling sometimes.
Wow. Interesting.
Awkward,
Then?
not
Really
creative.
Not
Like I said, I'm not
Well,
creative. I know they were having a conversation about how creative they are, and I was like,
No, I'm not creative. I
Yeah,
like
yeah.
looking and admiring at creative people.
I don't know, creative is
We're on
like,
numbers, guys. Pretty boring.
not creative. I don't know why. Like, why
One
am
more.
I answering this
Oh,
question?
Traditional?
Yeah, I think I'm very proud of. I think I grew up in a very traditional setting. I think my family has always been very, proud about where we come from, our culture, our values. So I think that's kind of what I've grown up in, and I'm proud of that too. I think I've got a good sense of being cultural and traditional, and I think that's a very large reason as to why I moved back. I spent 10 years of my life abroad and still wanted to come back and work here. I don't think there was ever a point in my life where I felt like I wanted to work in the US or in the UK or anywhere else, but come back and work in India.
Hi, I'm Nikhil Kamath. I'd love to know what you thought of the episode. Comment, like, and subscribe. And thank you for watching.